In the 74 days Mubarak Al-Rashidi was missing, the desert wasn't the only thing being searched. While his family looked for a son, the Ministry of Interior looked for victory. Social media looked for clicks, and the news looked for ratings. In Kuwait's most high-profile murder, the truth wasn't just buried in a shipping container, it was buried under a mountain of agendas. Mubarak al-Rashidi's friends described him as a quiet family man. He goes from the courts, where he used to work as a clerk, to a camp that they had in an area called Kabad here in Kuwait, where they have cattle, livestock, chickens. They raise them and trade with them, and sometimes they just make it as a camp. They sit and talk, especially at the winter nights when it's nice. He was married, had 3 kids, 35 years of age. The last call was to his wife at around 11 p.m. telling her that he is going to the camp area and he will be back. 1 o'clock came, 2 a.m. came, but no call from the husband. Of course, the wife called and there was no answer. She thought maybe he just put on silent and she will call him in the morning. He spent maybe the night at the camp or one of his friends. But the morning came and there was no Mubarak. She kept calling. She thought maybe he went to work. He'll be back at 1 or 2. 2 o'clock came. No response from her husband. Then she decided to call his brothers and tell them that he is missing. This starts the clock of 74 days from the mid of April 2023 until they finally found him. Right away, his brothers called his best friend. His name was Hasan. They were partners in the camp. They were partners in selling the livestock. His best friends for years. Hasan did not answer his phone. So they tried again, no answer. They asked his friends. The usual stuff we do. We call the friends, we call the hospitals, nothing. They decided to go to the camp because that's what he told his wife, where he was going. They went and saw his car and they had a big relief that they saw the car. But when they reached the car, they didn't find him. They found his phone, they found his wallet in the car. The camp was empty. Kind of new though, like a new tent was there, new furniture, but no Mubarak. Found traces of blood here and there. They were very worried. And then they decided to go to the police. The police right away start calling everybody, included Hasan. Then Hasan answered around it was 6 p.m. at that time. He answered and he said, he was sleeping. He will come right away to the police station. And then he went with the brothers to the camp again to search the surrounding areas. He was worried, searched the area over and over again, calling his name, but there was no Mubarak. The next day, the police called Hasan because he was the last person that he was with. They kept calling him and calling him. He didn't answer until around 5 p.m. He came in and he said he was sorry. He took his car for a car wash. Here they asked him what happened. He said, I spent the night with him, but around 12 o'clock, I said bye and left the camp, and I don't know where he is. And he didn't tell me where he went. And that's what happened. Here the police got suspicious of Hasan. And then they went to one of his brother's camps also, they have in another area. They found a truck that was there, a little pickup, and that on that little pickup there was signs of blood on the tire and on the brake pedal with some mud. They didn't think much of it because this is, after all, they have livestock and they slaughter livestock there. But they took the car for forensic evidence. The area of the camp was almost in the middle of the desert. To the public, the desert was a vast empty void. But to the investigators, the desert was screaming with digital signals. The Ministry of Interior began with the most basic forensic tool, cellular triangulation, pulled the records for both Mubarak and Hasan's phones on the night of the disappearance. The towers didn't show two separate paths. They showed two signals moving in perfect synchronization. When Mubarak's phone finally went dark, Hasan's phone was right there beside it. The walk-away story that he walked away after he left him did not just leak, it collapsed. They brought Hasan in again and they told him that they found out his lie and he didn't leave the area, but he kept silence. All was he's saying, I don't know, for any question they gave him. When forensics bypassed the encryption on Hasan's smartphone, they found his private thoughts. His Google search history showed that he was searching for what kind of a chemical I can use to drug a person. How long does it take for a person to lose conscious after you drug him? They asked him again about that. His answer was the same all the time, I don't know. Even with the searches and the signals, they needed the physical how. Forensic team returned to the Kabad campsite. They didn't just look at the surface, they really went deep into the search. They found out that under the tent that was erected newly, under it there was a debris of a burned tent. A fire, Hasan claimed it was an accident, that's why they built a new one. Mubarak's case stopped being a police investigation and started being a national content event. From the hall of the ministry to the screens of TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everybody wanted a piece of the story. They even have a hashtag, Mubarak Al-Rashidi, the crime of Mubarak Al-Rashidi. But not everyone wanted justice. Some just wanted the engagement, the publicity, the clicks he gets on his story. One of the influencers announced a big gathering of search parties after almost 2 months of Mubarak's disappearance. Thousands of people showed up. And even the Ministry of Interior, they gave them around 10 vehicles, a helicopter, police dogs, searching the surround desert area. It was Ramadan. Oh, it was Ramadan, and we're all out here to look and search for him. And then even there was institute that came with big trucks with their big names on them for breaking fast food for all the people. I remember one woman that came for the search and dramatically was calling him, Mubarak, where are you, Mubarak? We want to find you. I want to find Mubarak. I mean, everybody knew by that time that Mubarak was deceased. The people were combing the desert searching for him. The media kept the flames under the story raging. One of the reports showed Mubarak's aging father in the Chept campsite looking around. Him and his brothers were digging, trying to find Mubarak's body, the old man bleeding to find out what happened to his beloved son. The DNA evidence showed that the blood found on the pickup and in the campsite belonged to Mubarak. It took a while, but the investigators went to the car cleaning detail station, and they asked the workers about Hasan's car when he brought it to clean it, to detail it, and they said it was a mess, and somebody had cigarettes all over, dirt all over on the car. It was really dirty. They looked at the car, they didn't find anything. But then they went deeper, and actually under one of the mats they found blood, and it was Mubarak's blood. They went in and confronted Hasan with this information. The same answer, I don't know, I don't know. Still no body. From further questioning and investigations, they found out there was an Egyptian expatriate that was working with Mubarak and Hasan on the camp, but he left to Egypt a day after the murder. And Hasan stopped calling him after the date of the suspected murder. They went to his apartment. In the apartment there was another expatriate Egyptian that lived with him, and he said the next day after Mubarak's disappearance, he came in and he was nervous, and he said, take me to the airport right away. And he had a car, and he asked him, what about your car? He said, no, I don't want the car, just take me to the airport right now. And he left to Egypt. Here the Ministry of Interior sent a team from their side to Egypt, cooperating with the Egyptian authorities, and they found him and they caught him and they interrogated him for hours and hours. First he said, I don't know, the usual stuff, but then he caved and admitted that he aided Hasan with the murder. He didn't commit the actual murder. What happened is at that ominous night, he brought the drug to drug Mubarak. Hasan told him that he just wanted to get rid of him. He didn't know why, but he said he wanted to get rid of him. And Hasan was a drug addict. He didn't know what happened between them, but since a trip they took to Morocco, well, actually Mubarak took his best friend Hasan to get treated. He took him to treat him from the drugs. They came back to Kuwait. Days after that, he told him that he wants to get rid of him to prepare the drug. The plan was to drug Mubarak, put him on the pickup, take him to a container in the desert, in the Salmi desert, area east of Kuwait. Put him in a container, a shipping container that Mubarak bought. He wanted to imprison him and torture him before he killed him, then bury him, put an asphalt on the grave, and built a pigeon coop on the grave so nobody can find the body. What actually happened is that the night of the murder, Mubarak came, they went to have tea, they put the drug in the tea, and he left to the bathroom. When he came back, he found out that Hasan hit him with an iron pipe and he was dead already. They took the body, wrapped it in a carpet, put it in the pickup, and took it to Hasan's brother's camp. One of Hasan's brothers took Hasan's phone, drove around away from the area, driving until 3 a.m. to deceive the investigators, if they checked the phone, that Hasan was not actually in the Chebbed campground. After that, they burnt the tent to try to hide the evidence. Then they erected the new tent quickly. He gave the Egyptian man 2000 KD and told him to leave the country right away and never call him, and don't worry, he will send him money every once in a while. The Egyptian man was detained in Egypt. They investigated more and found out A bank transaction went to a Syrian merchant. They called him and asked him, "What did you do? What did you sell?" He said, "Yes, I sold a container, a shipping container, to Mr. Hasan, and he paid me by phone link from the bank, and I installed it in Al-Salmi." The Syrian merchant that sold the container took them to where he dropped it off in the Salmi desert. When they opened the door, there was the grim reality. They found Mubarak's body wrapped in a carpet, decomposing in the desert heat inside the container. A 74-day countdown that no one wanted to finish. The clock started when Mubarak vanished. It only stopped when they finally found his body. Mubarak burial ceremony was also a media hoopla. Cameras everywhere, influencers recording, even the Minister of Interior comforting Mubarak's family and giving his condolences. That was transmitted on Kuwait National TV. Self-proclaimed investigative influencers, quote unquote, were recording videos in front of the Kabad area camp, pointing at the sand and spinning wild conspiracy theories for viewers. They didn't care about the integrity of the case. They cared about the algorithm. They turned a grievance of a family search into a background for their own personal branding, searching for likes and clicks. By turning Hasan into a supervillain and the Ministry of Interior into heroes, the media stripped away the human reality, not concentrating on the victim. They sold the horror of the shipping container because horror sells subscriptions. In November 2024, the Court of Secession closed the book on the case. Hasan was sentenced to death, and the Egyptian accomplice was sentenced to death in Egypt. Kuwait and Egypt have such a treaty that each one can be tried in his country for the crime. The influencers moved onto the next hashtag, and the news cycle refreshed. As in any case, you have the murder weapon, you have the body, all the evidence, although Hasan never admitted that he killed him, but we still miss a motive. That was never established. Hasan kept quiet. Mubarak took his secret with him to his grave. The rumors kept chirping even after Mubarak's death. They were all drug addicts. They had a bad drug deal going between them because of the camp and the livestock. They were both partners in it together, and they had some kind of a financial problem between them. Till to date, the motive was not revealed. Why good friends for years, partners, led one of them to want to torture and kill his friend and leave him deceased in the dark container in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert.